Welcome to the Travel Squad podcast, where adventure meets inspiration. We're your hosts. I'm Brittany.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Jamal. Together we explore international destinations, hike epic national parks, and share unforgettable travel experiences with you, one passport stamp at a time.
Our mission is to inspire you to travel by showing you how you can make it work no matter your budget, schedule, or experience level.
We bring you along so that you can laugh, get excited, and start planning your own trip.
So grab your ticket and your passport.
And don't forget your travel insurance.
And get ready to embark on a new adventure with us around the globe. Hey Squaddies, Travel Squad Podcast is back with Just the Tip, our Friday mini episode series where we give you quick travel stories, hacks, and recommendations to set you off into the weekend right.
Today you have just me, Jamal, and Brittany as your hosts as we give you our take on Singapore Airlines business class experience. We recently flew round trip from Los Angeles to Singapore aboard Singapore Airlines. And Singapore Airlines is known to be one of the best airlines and business class experiences in the world. So we were really excited for this one, ready to dive deep in on this and let you guys know all about our experience. We were very fortunate that we were able to transfer our credit card points to our Singapore Airlines KrisFlyer account and book this entire trip utilizing points.
So today we're going to dive into our review of our business class experience. And we flew, like Jamal said, round trip, but we had a little bit of a different experience each time. So we're going to dive into the differences between both legs. So when we got on board the plane, we were shown to our seats, and it is a 1-2-1 configuration. So one seat at each of the windows and then two seats in the middle. Because it was our first time ever flying business class, we decided that we would sit the two seats in the middle for this experience.
And when you say, Brittany, that they showed us to our seats, it's not like when you first board a plane, getting on if you're flying economy and they look at your seat ticket and they tell you, oh, it's this way, down this aisle, blah, blah, blah. No. We were literally escorted to our seat. It felt very grand and regal and a nice touch to start off. But as soon as we got to our seats, we were in for a treat. It was so large. There was already a nice, large, lush pillow sitting on it, a water bottle, slippers, a menu. That way we can see all cocktails, snacks, and everything that they had. And of course, what the dinner menu was going to be if you didn't utilize Singapore Airlines Book the Cook experience, which we'll talk about that here very shortly, and some noise canceling headphones. And let me tell you something, those noise canceling headphones really, really worked. If you looked over to me and said something, I couldn't even hear a word you were saying when they were on.
Yeah, Jamal would have to take them off every time I wanted to chat. They also have the divider in the middle, so if you're not traveling with a companion, you could slide that divider between you so that you don't have to see that other person that's on the other side.
And that way you can have a little bit more privacy. A couple times I wanted my own privacy and I slid it right on you, Brittany. I was just like, ooh, I'm done.
No, you didn't.
But you can do that. So, of course, if you're not traveling with anybody, that is a nice feature if you are in the middle seats. But, of course, as we're getting settled in before takeoff, first things first, they come by with drinks, a hot towel. So they came first with the hot scented towel to just kind of give yourself a little refreshment and freshen yourself up.
And they came by with drinks. They had orange juice and water, but you could also ask for champagne, which we did ask for. And then they got blankets out for us and they placed them on our lap. It was very high-end service on this flight. So we did not sit at the very front of the plane. We were a few seats back in the two in the middle. And so when you sit in these two seats, the configuration of the plane, which Jamal will probably talk about, was that if you wanted to recline fully, you can, but your feet go into a little cubby space at an angle. And in your seat space, you have a lot of room. So the seat feels like a reclining chair and you can actually recline it back using the buttons. And then there is space for you to put your stuff. So there's a little cubby space where I put my comfortable clothes, my laptop and book. And then next to the TV is a little cabinet that you could put in your personal smaller stuff. So you could put in like your wallet, charger, and easily need to grab items there. These seats also had a little mirror and then a place for you to put your beverages if you didn't have your tray table out.
Also with the seats, of course, came a universal outlet. So I don't think it really matters what country you're originally from. It was pretty much a universal plug for you. And it also gave you the ability to use USB and USB-C to go ahead and charge your phone if you wanted to utilize it that way. So you pretty much have all the space, all the amenities. And yes, we will talk a little bit later about the lie flat experience, how you got to angle your feet towards the corner. It's not a full straight lay down, even though it's a full flat lay down, but you're not angled straight, which is a little bit different than a lot of other business class configurations. But the seats were immensely comfortable and really enjoyable.
Once we got settled in our seat, the flight attendants came back. They asked us what we wanted to drink. That's when we ordered the champagne. And they also confirmed our dinner order. So there is a menu there if you decide not to book the cook. We had decided to pre-order our meals through the Book the Cook experience online. So we already knew what we were having. And Jamal and I did a lot of research online prior to see what meals were the best on this airline so we can have the best experience possible.
Yeah, this is one of the unique things about Singapore Airlines is they do allow you to choose what meal you want ahead of time, as long as you get them the information through your online reservation 24 hours before your flight. You can choose whatever you want from their offerings. So of course their offerings differ from where you are actually taking off from, right? We had different offerings of what was available leaving Los Angeles versus when we were leaving from Singapore. Same from any other city. So there is at least 15, 20, if not more options of specific meals that you can choose. If you wanted to do that, that is their Book the Cook feature. Or you can also see online about 72 hours before the flight, sometimes even before, what the meals will be on the plane if you don't utilize the Book the Cook, so you know what you can have then and what to expect and if you should use it. So we pre-ordered our meals. We were really excited about this and something very unique about Singapore Airlines that I appreciated. But you forgot to mention, Brittany, every time they came up and asked us, do we want another drink, another champagne, or confirmed our meal order that we utilized on Book the Cook, they always called us by our last name. It was Mr. Marouche or Mrs. Harbeck. What would you like? Is this correct?
Yeah, I don't know how they remembered all of our names because this entire flight flew either premium, economy, or business class. And the business class section was pretty big. So very impressive that they remembered our names every time because they didn't come around with a sheet in their hand to reference our names. They just said it right off the top of their heads.
Exclusively on ESPN Plus, UFC 313, Saturday. Reigning light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira defends his title against number one contender Magomed Ankalaev, and an explosive lightweight bout between Justin Gaethje and Rafael Pazzi. UFC 313, Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Buy it on ESPNplus.com/PPV.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
So at this point in time, we are ready for the flight. We have drinks in hands. We're all comfy with our blanket, pillow, and now we're diving into the entertainment options. The TV that's on the back of the chair is probably about 4 times larger than a normal economy screen. So it's very large, but we did feel like the movie selection was a bit lacking.
Yeah, there were some good options, but quite honestly, I was expecting a lot better options. They had a good mix of movies from Asia, US, Europe, old, new, but at the same time, there were so many options, but very few options that actually did captivate me. But that's just the movies. Of course, they had music that you could listen to, the flight map. One thing that's really unique about this, of course, is usually when you're flying in economy, your TV screen is touchscreen. Here in business class, it is not touchscreen. They actually have a remote control for you to use. I think the reason for that is because, of course, you have so much space. The TV's so far in front of you. If you're reclining back in your chair, it's going to be such a big, long reach to actually go ahead and hit the screen. So leading up to this flight, I was like really excited about it. Watched a lot of YouTube videos about Singapore Airlines business class, specifically on this model airplane that we flew on. And that's one of the big complaints I heard a lot of people say. It was like, oh, the TV's not touchscreen. I didn't really mind that. I really liked having the remote control in my hand and just flipping it. It felt a lot more comfortable that way than reaching up on the screen. So I actually like that feature.
There was also Wi-Fi on board, and thank God for that, because I only found one movie that really captivated me, and this was a 17-hour and 40-minute flight. When we originally got on, I thought I was going to be binge watching TV shows and movies and all of that. So when we said we were a little disappointed in the movie selection, I was like, all right, I guess I'll be on my computer and use the Wi-Fi. It was free for business class. It was strong and good, but you do have to put everything away 30 minutes during takeoff and 30 minutes before landing as well. But the space and everything was comfortable, and I thought it was easy to use.
So now that the flight's taken off, we've gotten settled into our seats, entertainment of what we were able to find and wanted to watch or what work we were doing on our laptop. It was time for meal service. And we utilized, as we had mentioned before, the Book the Cook service. So we knew what our main entrees were going to be. But in business class, you're getting appetizers, you're getting dessert. And of course, if you didn't utilize the Book the Cook, there is a menu at your seat that you can go ahead and look through to see what's being served for your appetizers, dessert, what options food-wise you have for your main course. Of course, all sorts of beverages that are available to you, alcoholic, non-alcoholic, coffee, tea, sodas, etc. You can see all in this menu.
So from LAX to Singapore, we were being served dinner first, and then after sleeping, we were going to be served breakfast in the morning, which lines up with the time that we landed in Singapore. On the way home, we were leaving Singapore late, so they served us dinner then. And when we were landing, it was also late in Los Angeles. So instead of breakfast, we were being served dinner again. So let's talk about our first meals from LAX to Singapore. What did we have for dinner?
Well, the appetizer that they had was a tuna naqua salad. And then for dessert, they had a plethora of options. We both chose the butter pecan ice cream. I ended up getting an additional dessert item because I couldn't really decide what I wanted. And then the flight attendant said, oh, well, you could have 1, 2, 3, all 4, Mr. Marouche. Just go ahead and choose. I wanted to do all 4, but my stomach didn't have room for me for all 4. So I can't remember what I got in addition to the butter pecan ice cream, but I believe it was some sort of cake.
For the main course, I had pork belly with rice.
And I ended up choosing a steak. And it came with roast vegetables, mashed potatoes, a sauce, absolutely delicious.
And so in the morning, they served us breakfast, which was kind of a standard for everyone. We had a fruit plate, yogurt, they had bread, so like croissants, and then we had a selection of coffee, tea, water, juice.
Well, that they served a little bit closer to landing. We also had a second meal option that we were able to have and utilize the Book the Cook. And we both ended up having a wonton pork noodle soup.
Yes, and that was really delicious.
And on our way back from Singapore to Los Angeles, we had different options. The Book the Cook was also available, but depending on where you're flying from, within the United States or somewhere in Asia, the meal options that you have available on Book the Cook are going to be different. So we had several of the same options that were available to us from Los Angeles to Singapore, but from Singapore to Los Angeles, of course, Singapore being the hub of Singapore Airlines, a lot more options were available here. One thing that Singapore Airlines is known for is their chicken satay appetizer that they have. So that was the first course to start, was a chicken satay appetizer. And then for the main entree, we ended up getting and ordering lobster thermidor from Book the Cook.
And if you're not having meal service, you can always ask for the snacks that they offer. You can get drinks, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. So plenty of things to keep you full during this flight.
And in addition to the chicken satay on the first meal, they gave a salmon and seaweed salad with carrots, sesame seeds, and crisp wontons. I thought that salad was exceptionally delicious.
Very, very good. I feel like everything we ate was amazing for airplane food.
And then for the second meal that we ended up having, my main entree from the book The Cook, I chose the lamb chops.
And I chose a Wagyu beef with rice and steamed vegetables, which was really good. And then I also got like a pandan cake with cherries and pistachios on top.
I also got the pandan cake topped with cherries and pistachios. And I don't know what it is. The flight attendants, when dessert time came around, they saw my indecisiveness. They never offered Brittany, for whatever reason, more than one option, even though it is available, but they could see my indecisiveness. And the flight attendant on this flight too was like, "Oh, do you want another one too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of do." And I ended up getting that pandan cake with pistachio. And I also ended up getting a cheese plate that was delicious.
Hey, it's Bill Simmons from the Bill Simmons Podcast here to tell you about Michelob Ultra Courtside. It's getting fans closer to the NBA with a chance to win prizes like courtside seats, a trip to All-Star Weekend, and much more. Check it out at MichelobUltra.com/courtside. Michelob Ultra Superior Access, Courtside 24-25 sweepstakes, no purchase necessary. Open to U.S. residents 21 and up. Begins on October 1st, 2024, ends July 1st, 2025. Multiple entry periods. Visit MichelobUltra.com/courtside for free entry deadlines, and official rules. Message and data rates may apply. Void where prohibited.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day. And that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. During tax season, your personal info travels to a lot of places. Between payroll, your tax consultant, and the IRS. If your W-2 gets exposed, that's just the ticket for identity thieves. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed or your money back. Don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So between the meals, of course, it's a very long flight. You have 17 hours and 40 minutes to kill on the way there, and then a little bit less on the way back. You're going to want to rest. And so we had left out of Los Angeles pretty late at night. I think our flight was, in the 8 o'clock hour?
8 o'clock hour.
So shortly after dinner, they start offering a turn down service. And this is where they come and make your chair a lay flat bed. And there's actually like a little latch that you can pull on the back of your recliner, and you can pull that down. And when they pull that down, there is a sheet there. You have your blanket, and then there's 2 pillows to make this a lie flat experience.
Blanket, your pillows, linen, absolutely amazing and an exciting experience to just lay flat and be able to sleep, especially when you have a long flight. And we alluded earlier that when the seat is in a lie flat position for your bed, it is at an angle and your feet have to go into like a tiny little corner cubby, which is very unique for business class seats, because a lot of times business class seats will, of course, be in a 1-to-1 configuration or sometime a 2-to-2 configuration, again, depending on the airline, model of the plane, etc. But a lot of times the seats are staggered. And what do I mean by that? They're staggered so that, of course, when you go into lie flat position, it's immediately your feet straight in front of you, not having to angle because they are staggered. Now, that's really nice, but when you stagger the seats like that, then the seats end up becoming smaller. On Singapore Airlines, at least on this model plane that we were on, they do not stagger the seats. So in order to be able to really be able to lie flat and fully extend the body, you have to have your feet kind of angled. So That was something that I knew going into it and that I was really prepared for, especially being a little bit taller. I was nervous. It was comfortable, although it could have been more comfortable if it wasn't at that angle. But I will say this, the payoff is when you're not in lie flat, the seat is so much bigger than anything that I've ever seen walking through other airplanes, business class, photos, etc. Just such a large seat on Singapore Airlines, but caddy cornered for your feet.
On the way home, we sat in the bulkhead space, and this is the area of the plane where you can lie completely flat. So these are the very first seats when you get on the plane. So no one's in front of you other than just the wall divider. And we weren't able to initially book these seats because they're actually not bookable. They're reserved for special upgrades, or they come available, 72 hours before your flight?
72 hours before your flight, if you have a certain status with Singapore Airlines, or upon check-in. So when we originally checked in for our first flight, I wanted to get the bulkhead seats because I knew, again, you wouldn't be angled for your feet in the lie flat position. You almost have a whole nother seat in front of you and a bench. So a lot more space in these seats than anywhere else. So they were not available on our first flight, but upon check-in for our second flight from Singapore to Los Angeles, they were. And so Brittany and I on this flight originally had booked 2 window seats. But when I saw that those bulkhead seats were available, I said, I want the space. I want to be able to lie fully flat without having to angle myself. And my goodness, what a completely different experience that seat was. And if you can get it, I would highly recommend to get the bulkhead seats in the middle, not the bulkhead seats that are by the window, because I did notice that they were a little offset and still had that little corner cubby, but the middle seats do not. It's a full-blown bench right in front of you. Makes for a more luxurious experience.
So this is where you can lie completely flat and straight. They do have less cubbies to put your stuff in. So you don't have the side cubby on the side of your TV screen to put your small items, but the bench is huge and you can store your backpack underneath the seat and there's a lot more space. I'm short, I'm 5 foot. So regardless whether we were slightly angled in our first leg or when we were lying completely flat, I had a fantastic experience because it really didn't make too much of a difference to me. But if you're taller, it definitely does.
I had a fantastic experience either way. I don't want to sit here and say I was uncomfortable on that first leg being caddy cornered when you're in fully lie down flat. But for me, and especially if you're taller, I think the front absolutely makes a difference if you can get it. But either way, luxury experience and super comfortable.
One of my favorite parts of the trip was when we were having breakfast on our way from LA to Singapore. Our flight attendant came by and she asked me, would you like me to put your seat upright? And I said, oh, no, thank you. And she immediately goes, oh, okay, you'd like to have breakfast in bed? And I was like, yes, I would. That was the most amazing experience. Totally worth it, 10 out of 10.
We're already talking about when we're going to utilize our credit card points again to fly Singapore Airlines next time we go to Asia, whether it be back to Singapore or using Singapore as a hub within Asia to go wherever else we want to go. We absolutely want to fly this airline again. You can Google it. It's well known. Singapore Airlines, one of the best airlines in the world, let alone business class experience that you are going to get on board. We keep talking about how we utilize this for points. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys, it was 104,000 points each way per person. So a lot of times, you see business class deals if you follow those types of websites that are a lot cheaper than that, but we were not able to find it. This is the lowest we've ever seen Singapore Airlines offer a business class flight at 104,000. And I think really, really well worth it if you have the points.
So Jamal, what would you rate Singapore Airlines business class 1 to 10?
I would give it an 8.5. And the reason why I would give it an 8.5 is if you are not fortunate enough to get the bulkhead and you are a little bit taller, again, you're lying down fully flat. In that sense, it is comfortable. And being at an angle even is not a problem because the way the seat is when it's flat, that's not the problem. It's just the well space that you have for your feet caddy corner doesn't give you a lot of turnaround and stretch room that you may like if you are a person who moves in their sleep, and I am. So that's the only reason. But otherwise, food, general experience. I mean, I was even really comfortable sitting in the seat, not in bed position, because you could still recline it very well, put up a footrest on there, many comfortable positions that you can be in. So a solid 8.5. And I would say, again, just that 1.5 being really picky because I'm taller. But hey, that's just me being picky.
I would give it an 8.9 because the movie selection was really lacking and you actually had to ask for an amenity kit. It wasn't something that was provided to you directly. And then if you wanted an eye mask and other little essentials like earplugs, which I highly recommend doing, you also have to ask for those in advance too. So I'm rating it higher than Jamal's a little because I was really comfortable because I'm short, but still knocking off a point because of that.
Well, I like it. They're being responsible and not creating waste because some people don't utilize the amenity kit. But I see your point. But in fairness, they did have slippers for everybody on each leg. No questions asked. But yes, if you want an eye mask, earplugs, etc., you do have to ask for it. We forgot to mention this. In the bathrooms, they did have shaving cream, razors, toothbrush, toothpaste. So all those amenities are available to everybody direct in the bathroom too. And the bathrooms aren't substantially bigger than a normal economy, at least on this airplane model that we were on, which was the Airbus A350, but it was a little bit larger and they made it a lot nicer looking in there with those amenities that are available. So you do have that.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Just the Tip.
Make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on all the socials at Travel Squad Podcast.
And have fun traveling this weekend.
Bye, Squaddies.